On the eve of the engagement, my girlfriend actually sent me a live broadcast. Her eyes flashed with strange light, and she said excitedly, "Husband, shall we also play like live broadcast?" I looked down at my mobile phone, and the big words of the title came into my eyes. The experience of changing husband. I frowned and looked up again, and my girlfriend changed to her cute expression as before. "I'm kidding you. I just want to see if you are loyal to me." 1. After saying that, Shunwan turned over and turned her back to me and was ready to fall asleep. But I happened to catch a flash of loss on her face. I didn't close my eyes all night. This is not the first time that Shunwan has made such a joke with me. From the day the engagement date was confirmed, the innocent and lovely Shunwan seemed to have disappeared. She began to send me some colorful live broadcasts from time to time, and then offered to experience different feelings from me. And those live broadcasts are all games of wife and husband. I once thought that Shunwan was serious, but with my inherent impression of her, and that she hasn't done anything out of the way, I told myself that she was just joking. Until Shunwan's birthday banquet the next day, I heard her true thoughts. I chartered the entire top floor of the building for her 24th birthday and cordially invited all her friends to celebrate her birthday. However, the company was delayed for a while, and I was a little relieved to hear Shunwan's considerate voice on the other side of the phone. "It's okay, husband. You can come back after you're done. I love you." After hanging up the phone, I finished my work and went downstairs to the building. In order to surprise her, I didn't let the waiter lead the way, but pushed 999 white roses by myself and took the elevator as a passerby. As soon as I got out of the elevator, I heard Shunwan's voice. Gusi looked at his sly appearance. He didn't expect him to be so pedantic in his bones. As long as he changed his husband with him, he would strongly reject me. "Hey." Shunwan's voice was disgusted. After saying that, she took a puff of cigarette and gritted her teeth. I pushed the flower and stood at the elevator entrance without going out, quietly listening to the conversation between the two. The other person is Shunwan's brother-in-law, Jolie. He also came when the parents of both sides met when they were engaged. Jolie smiled softly, stroked Shunwan's face with one hand and asked, "So you don't want to try again? You are willing to lie under him for the rest of your life and not continue with me?" Their words made me stiff in an instant, and I stared straight at the man in front of me. What does he mean by that? Shunwan turned out not only to play the game of changing husbands, but also to exchange husbands with her sister. It turns out that she has a private relationship with Jolie. After learning this understanding, I was almost unsteady because of the violent emotional shock. Shunwan's voice continued, "Of course not. How can I be willing to give you to my sister's fool? Wanwan, it's 12 o'clock. Come in and blow the candle to make a wish." Before Shunwan finished her words, Shunjan ran out happily, took her hand and walked inside. Shunwan quickly changed into a smiling look and followed her into the hall. There was silence in the corridor, and the mobile phone in my pocket also rang. "Hey husband, when will you arrive? I'm going to blow a candle to make a wish." Shunwan's sweet voice came out, but I felt cold when I heard it. I smiled and kept clenching my hand holding my mobile phone. The company has a change, and we can't make it today. 2. When I got home, Shunwan kept sending me messages. "It's my birthday. How can you not come? You don't even want to hear my birthday wishes. Don't you love me anymore?" I smiled and turned off my mobile phone decisively. Everything in the house is arranged according to Shunwan's requirements, which is beautiful and warm. At this moment it seems particularly strange to me. Shunwan and I have been together since we were in our first age. Now we are about to get engaged, but we are the first to hit me. I logged into the computer, and Shunwan didn't send me any more messages. Maybe it's my birthday so I don't have time to pay attention to me. I slid up to record and clicked on the live broadcast she sent me last night. The 4 big words of changing husband experience appeared in front of my eyes again, and I held my breath and clicked on the live broadcast. In the video, 2 men and women are doing aerobic exercise, but the 2 women call each other's husband. The comments are updated in real time, and many people like such exciting games. "Oh my god, it's so cool. It's hard to see my wife under someone else. I agree upstairs. Watching my husband do it with others, I feel that it has a different flavor. I was shocked to see it. Turns out that some people really like this kind of experience. Maybe it's really like what Shunwan said, I'm too conservative and pedantic. I will never accept such behavior. The loyalty and possessiveness in my bones make me unable to watch these videos." I was about to turn it off when a familiar network name suddenly popped up. User 6688. This is the name of Shunwan's video account. My husband doesn't agree to play this game. It's not interesting at all. Someone in the comments gave her advice. My husband didn't agree at first. Later, he directly drugged him and locked him in the same room with others. What if he didn't agree? I was so shocked that I couldn't imagine that a normal couple would do such a thing. When I was wondering whether the user 6688 was Shenwan or not, the news came from WeChat. It's me and her friends. Brother C, it's okay if you don't come for your sister-in-law's birthday. Why did your sister-in-law even leave? So what are we playing with? I was short of breath and almost subconsciously typed and replied. Where did Shenwan go? The opposite side is very fast. I don't know. After blowing out the candle, she took the bag and left. I quickly turned on my mobile phone and called Shenwan crazily, but it always showed that no one answered. My heart cooled down little by little, and I already had a premonition. Sister, is your brother-in-law home? I took out my mobile phone and thought for a while, and sent a message to Shenzhen. Shenzhen didn't reply. I sat quietly in front of the computer, and the sound of entering the password did not come from the door until dawn. I walked out of the study and watched Shunwan stagger in with high heels. Seeing me, she smiled sweetly and buried her head in my arms. Husband, you are waiting for me. I played too late last night, so I found a hotel to sleep for a while. I'm afraid you'll come back early in the morning. It's a familiar rhetoric. It seems that Shunwan said so many nights before when she didn't come home all night. My throat was stuck, and I was about to say something when my mobile phone vibrated. Shenzhen's news. I didn't come back. He opened a room with my good sister, don't you know? 3. After Shenwan got home, she went back to the bedroom and fell asleep. She didn't even have time to take off her clothes. I saw the blush on her neck and changed her pajamas with curiosity. However, as soon as she took off her clothes, she saw red marks all over her body. The feeling of being deceived surged into my heart, and it was almost the only remaining rational control that I didn't evoke her and confront her. I tremblingly changed her pajamas and turned around and left the bedroom. What do you mean? I replied to Shenzhen's message, and she quickly replied. I installed the location on Jolie's mobile phone. I wanted to catch the adultery. Who knew that I saw him and Shenwan coming out of the hotel all night? Quickly typed. Then what? Have you had a showdown with him? Shenzhen was silent for a long time and kept showing that the other party was typing. After a long time she replied. No. I love him very much. It's better for him to cheat on my sister than to order a lady outside. I won't show off and I won't divorce him. So I advise you to close one eye. After all, you also love Shenwan very much, don't you? I was blown up by Shenzhen's words, but when I saw the last sentence I was silent. Yes, Shenzhen is right. I love Shenwan so much that I can't help myself. Therefore, I can't tolerate her heart wandering, and even only think about me with all my heart. I have seen her love for me, and naturally I can tell that she doesn't have much love for me now. Or rather, you don't love me anymore. At this time, yesterday's live broadcast showed an update and invited me to watch it. I slid up boredly but inadvertently clicked in. Just as I was about to quit, a charming voice came out in the video. For a moment I seemed to fall into an ice cave. It's Shenwan. I was stunned and looked down at the men and women in the video. The girl was also wearing a string of bracelets on her wrist. Even if it was very vague, I still recognized that this was the bracelet on Shenwan's hand, because I gave it to her. That is, she once had a serious illness, and no matter how much she injected and took medicine it didn't work. It was me who found the most spiritual temple in the city, 3,000 steps to kowtow to her step by step. When I gave it to her, Shenwan burst into tears and looked at my bloody knees and cried silently. Thank you, husband. I love you. She said that she would wear the bracelet on her hand and never take it off. She did it. Even when I slept with another man, I didn't forget to take off the bracelet I gave him. I only felt extremely ironic in my heart, so I saved the video and put it in the bedroom. Shenwan was sleeping soundly. I shook her gently and she grabbed my hand and didn't let me wake her up. I clicked on the video and the sound in it leaked out little by little and the people on the bed jumped up. She snatched my mobile phone and stared at the video with an annoyed face. She frowned and looked at me. How did you see this video? Didn't you say that you don't like to play the husband-changing game? Why did you book this live account? I was stunned. For a moment I didn't expect that she would focus on this. Shenwan, are you by your side in the video? You cheated on me and even posted it on the internet. What do you think of me? I didn't run away by her. I calmed down and gritted my teeth word by word. Shenwan lowered her head and didn't say anything. After a long time, she threw her mobile phone back on the bed and lay down, looking indifferent. What evidence do you have to prove that this is me? With this string of bracelets, more people wear bracelets. Besso, I'm pregnant. How could I do such a thing? I stared wide-eyed and looked at the woman in front of me stroking my lower abdomen with a winning ticket in her hand, and I was speechless for a moment. I was going to tell you on your birthday, so my sister and my brother-in-law gave you a scare that I cheated on you. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Shenwan looked at me aggrievedly with a squinted mouth, and her eyes turned red in an instant. Do you think I don't know that I suspect that I have an affair with my brother-in-law? Don't you know who I am? Shenwan's words dragged me into memories and guilt arose again. Yes, how can I doubt Shenwan? She is obviously still the simple and kind little girl who is only good to me. 4. I have been with Shenwan for 6 years. For 6 whole years we have hardly quarreled once. We met at a freshman meeting. She played the drums with one hand and was a little more handsome than a boy. But unlike her cool drums, she looks shy when she gets off the stage. After we met, it seemed that everything was developing logically. She told me a lot about her original family, her gambling father, her humble mother, her sister who went to school and her broken her. I feel very sorry for her. She hasn't been wrong since we were together. In the same way, she is also very good to me. She knows that I grew up in the Welfare Institute and has always been considering my fragile self-esteem. At that time, I naively thought that we would love each other for the rest of our lives like this. After graduating from college, I chose to start a business, and Shenwan joined a large factory. In the early days of entrepreneurship, everything was difficult. Working overtime is a common thing, and what's more, I haven't closed my eyes for a week. In that week, Shenwan got up early to go to work every day. In the evening, she came home and cooked food and sent it to the company to accompany me. Often late at night, I took my eyes off the computer and found that she had fallen asleep on the sofa at some point. She feels more sorry for me than I feel sorry for her. In order to solve the problem of starting a business, she took the money she earned by working part-time for 4 years in college and wanted to give it to me. I squeezed her bank card and couldn't say a word for a long time, but her eyes turned red before me. She stroked my beard that I hadn't shaved for a week with one hand and said distressedly, "Take it. We will get married in the future. My money is yours." Until now I haven't touched that card and I don't know how much it costs. I just need to know that Shenwan sincerely devoted everything to me when I had nothing, just for my success. From then on, I secretly vowed that when I rose to life, I would definitely give Shenwan the best life and the most loyal love. Maybe it's my luck, or maybe it's God's blessing. I succeeded in starting a business. When I signed the first big order, I took Shenwan out of the restaurant. Shenwan's excited appearance made me particularly sad. She looked at here and finally ordered only a scrambled egg with tomatoes. I asked her to have more, but she shook her head and smiled happily. "I'm not hungry. I just want to eat this." I know that she is reluctant to spend money. That day, I asked for 10 dishes in one go. Shenwan, who said she was not hungry, ate a lot of food. That day, I was so drunk that I knelt on one knee to Shenwan to propose to her. I vaguely remember the tears flashing in her eyes, and Zheng nodded in response. "I'm willing to marry you." 5. However, before we could discuss the marriage, Shenwan's parents died in an accident. Only their sisters are left in the whole family. Shenwan cried in my arms and her whole body trembled. I hugged her in silence, but held her arm harder and harder. I think she only has my sister and me. My sister will get married eventually, and I will be her last support and the only family member. Since then, I have been working hard to add more help to our future. Shenzhen got married and got the certificate before the filial piety period was over. Her relatives gossiped a lot about her. So even if Shenwan wanted to imitate her sister, I didn't agree to get the certificate. I was afraid that she would think too much, so I said that I could hold an engagement banquet first, and then wait for the 1-year filial piety period to expire before getting married. I thought everything would develop in a good direction, but now the situation has hit me hard like a bolt from the blue. I have no father or mother. The company Shenwan has given me over the past 6 years is true, and the love and security given to me are also true. I can't imagine that she will betray me, or play with me as a fool. So when she told me that she wanted to test my sincerity and probably asked Shenzhen and Jolie to act, I believed it. When I picked up my mobile phone and asked her what the husband-changing game she has sent at any time these days meant, her eyes turned red in an instant. I see that many people like to play wife-swanking games. I'm afraid you also have this fetish, so I'm testing you. Don't you know who I am? My sister and I are not close. Now you are the only one I can rely on in the world. How can I play any husband-changing game to change you? Do you really think I'm that kind of weird person? Facing her tearful questioning, the guilt in my heart seemed to drown me. I came forward and hugged Shenwan tightly, kept apologizing to her and promised that I would never doubt her again. Only then did she stop crying. From that day on, it seemed that nothing had happened to us, and everything was the same. Shenwan is still very good to me as always, but for some reason I always feel that something is different from before. But whenever I have this thought, I always blame myself for doubting my girlfriend who has been with me for 6 years when I see Shenwan sleeping side face. Not only am I her only support, but she is also my deepest bond in the world. The company's overseas branch has developed a new project, and I will go abroad for a month as a leader. Before leaving, Shenwan hugged me reluctantly, and tears flashed in her eyes. Honey, I'll wait for you. That I was very moved. I sent her a message as soon as I landed, but she didn't reply for a long time. I made several calls but I couldn't get through. In the middle of the night, Shenwan replied to my message. Honey, I'm asleep. I'm going to continue to sleep. You should also rest early. Love you. Good night. Looking at her rushing to end the conversation with me, the suspicion in my heart surged into my heart again. Turning on the computer monitoring connected to the mobile phone, I clearly saw two figures overlapping on the big bed in the bedroom. Jolie's voice sounded again as he heard it last time. Aren't you afraid that he will find out again? Shenwan smiled softly, and her voice came to my ear word for word. He is now pure, that is what I said. On the eve of the engagement, my girlfriend wants to play the game of changing husband 39,103 inch. What even if you find me? Besson, I said I was pregnant, and he won't doubt me anymore. Jolie stroked her chest with one hand and pinched it, with an ambiguous voice. If he knew that you were not pregnant at all, would he be mad? Shenwan hit his chest with a smile and said shyly, I hate it. I can't play the game of changing husbands. It's also quite exciting for sisters to serve a husband together, isn't it, brother-in-law? 6. I looked at the entangled bodies of the two people on the screen, and my heart became cold little by little. How ridiculous. When I encountered a bad climate on the plane today and the plane was bumping to write a suicide note, my first sentence was still my dear wife. After I got off the plane, I was glad that I survived. When I wanted to cherish my life in every minute and every second with Shenwan, she moaned under Jolie. When I was making excuses for her and once brainwashing myself that she loved me, she laughed at me as a fool. I'm a fool because I love her. But now I only feel like a clown on the stage. And Shenwan and Jolie, the audience on the stage, applauded for my stupidity. The two of them were dying, but the bell came from the other side of the gate. Jolie walked out of bed naked and opened the door in a familiar way. The person who came was Shenwan's sister, Shenzhen. As soon as she opened the door, Shenzhen stood at the door and closed it. She quickly took off her clothes, and then hugged Jolie and kissed her. The two kissed from the gate to the bedroom, and Shen Wanjiao said, Sister, there's still me. As she said, she pounced on it. I was shocked to see it, and my whole body trembled because of the shock. Only then did I understand what Shenwan just said. Sisters serve the same husband. It turns out that Shenzhen has long been a member of their 3P. The three people tossed and turned until the early morning before they stopped breathing. And I also changed from the shocking pain at the beginning to the calm now. It seems that he has accepted the fact that Shenwan cheated and betrayed me. I took out my mobile phone and sent a message to Shenzhen. Sister, do you really feel nothing when Jolie cheated on you? Shenzhen's mobile phone vibrated at the other end of the screen, and she casually lit a cigarette and slid the screen. After seeing the news, she laughed so hard that she threw her mobile phone to Shenwan and sneered. Why is your husband so pedantic? Didn't you say that we made him think you were cheating step by step and then explain so that he can accept the change of husband in a cycle? Why does he still look unacceptable now? It's really boring. Jolie also sneered on the side, bowing his head and playing with his mobile phone, not knowing what he was playing. Shenwan took the mobile phone with an awkward and gloomy face. After a few clicks on the screen, my mobile phone received a reply. Sister-in-law, people should always be more open. Can't Jolie cheat on me? In other words, to be a husband and wife, you must have the same sex. Since he likes to play outside, I can play with him. As long as I love him, I can endure anything. Can't you? In a few short words, Shenwan returned the mobile phone to Shenzhen with a smug face. Shenzhen gave her a thumbs up after seeing it. It has to be you. You put all the mistakes on him in a few words, ha ha ha. I looked at the three of them holding each other naked, and the nausea that had just been suppressed surged into my heart again. It turns out that Shenzhen, the love brain I thought, was also a part of play. The three of them, from the very beginning, invited you into the urn and let me be the last button of the closed loop. But my loyalty and three views turned out to be a mistake in their eyes. It's really a world of crows. Swans are also at fault. 7. Before my revenge plan was implemented, Shenwan sent me a message. That it's nothing more than pretending to be okay to greet my daily life, and ask me if I have had breakfast. I can't expose it now. I tried to suppress my nausea and pretended to be my usual tone and replied, "I've eaten. How about you?" She replied very quickly, "I'm eating soy milk eggs." My heart trembled and I turned on the monitor of the computer. Then an indescribable scene came into my eyes. Shen Wan swallowed satisfaction and Zhou Li's sighing expression made me vomit. At this moment, I don't have any regret or heartache for Shen Wan anymore. I picked up my mobile phone and called the assistant who was handling official affairs in China. I explained to him something and hung up the phone afterwards. Looking at the satisfied appearance of the three people on the screen, I only feel ridiculous. Don't you like to pursue excitement? There is more exciting one. The assistant moved very quickly and sent me the information of three people. I took the lead in reading Shen Wan's information. As I expected, her relationship with Zhou Li and Xinjiang has been going on since she graduated from college. And I have been cuckolded for 2 whole years. My heart tightened and I continued to look down. Xinjiang has been playing this improper relationship with Zhou Li since she was with him. As for Zhou Li, holding his information I frowned. Zhou Li was not just playing a threesome with Xinjiang and Shen Wan. He also raised a lot of women outside, and even tried new things at any time to spend money on young ladies. And it can support him to spend so much money because Shen Wan gave him money. I remember that since Shen Wan graduated, I began to ask for money repeatedly after I successfully started a business. At first it was thousands of yuan, gradually it was tens of thousands, and now it is hundreds of thousands of yuan. I have always cherished her efforts and felt sorry for her. So I will give her as much as she wants, and I have never doubted it. But now I'm shivering. It turns out that my infatuation is an ATM that can spit out money in their eyes. With irony in my heart, I said coldly to the assistant on the other end of the phone, "Let's start with Zhou Li." The other side agreed decisively and hung up the phone. I quietly watched the three people on the screen starting to move again, and gradually had a plan in my heart. During the month of research abroad, I saw many wonderful pictures. Among them, when Zhou Li brought a new woman home, Shen Wan and Shenzhen's faces were full of wonderful expressions. The two sisters have always regarded Zhou Li as personal belongings, but they didn't expect a third woman to join in. And Zhou Li's attitude is also very clear, that the four of them should play together. Looking at the drunkenness of the four people on the screen, my heart was happy. It's almost time. It will be time soon. As a result, with the addition of newcomers, the frequency of several people together is increasing, and sometimes they even have to come several times a day. Finally, a month later, I received the news that Shen Wan was going to the hospital. She has a venereal disease. 8. After she told Zhou Li and Shenzhen the news, everyone was stunned. It's no wonder that I've had a lot of rashes on my body recently, and my bottom has been itchy and smelly. God, this disease can't be cured. In the future, we can only raise it slowly, but we can't cure it. Shen Wan's face was ugly. She looked at Zhou Li and said coldly, "It's all your fault. You have to bring that woman here. That woman is sick." Zhou Li glanced at her, picked up his mobile phone and left home. Shenzhen also left home in a hurry to go to the hospital for examination. Soon, I received a message from Shen Wan urging me to go back. "Honey, when will you come back? I'm about to get engaged. Shall we go to get the certificate the day after the engagement? I can't wait. I want to be your wife." I looked at the message on my mobile phone and sneered. "Look, I know that I have been sick and can't be cured in my life. Now I know that I'm looking for a fool." But I still replied in a normal tone. "Good. But I still have something to do here. You arrange the engagement banquet, and I will rush back that day." As if to be afraid that she would be angry, I quickly added, "I will make up for you and give you a big surprise." These words made her smile happily, and she went out happily to prepare for the engagement banquet. I counted the time and the evidence collected by the assistant and booked a ticket back to China. The plane landed and the assistant came to pick me up. "Everything is ready," he whispered. I nodded and got into the car. Shen Wan called, and as soon as she picked it up, she heard her surprised voice. "Are you back? I thought you couldn't catch up. The engagement banquet is about to start. People are coming one after another. Hurry up, honey. By the way, don't forget my big surprise." At the end, I replied with a smile and turned off my mobile phone. The assistant sat in the driver's seat and looked at me worriedly through the rearview mirror. "Mr. Gu, why don't you do it on this occasion today? Drive." I interrupted him, and the assistant shut up tacitly. I know what he wants to say, but it doesn't matter. What I want is these three people to go to hell. The engagement banquet was very lively, and almost all the audience was there when I arrived. But looking around, there are few people who really have been with our company, and most of them are Shen Wan's friends and relatives. Seeing me, Shunwon jumped up excitedly and wanted to kiss me. I frowned invisibly to avoid her kiss and explained in her surprised eyes. There are too many people. By the way, how is the child? I suddenly asked in a cold way. Shunwon seemed to have forgotten that she lied that she was pregnant in order to deceive herself. She panicked for a moment, and then stroked her still flat lower abdomen happily. Of course, the child and I are all right. I nodded with a smile and said nothing more. After all, I know her so well that I can almost guess her next thoughts. Find an opportunity to pretend to have an abortion, or pretend to be pregnant. But no matter which one, there will be no more opportunities to interpret. She was relieved to see that I didn't ask further. She turned around and toasted the guests, and soon continued to immerse herself in the joy of engagement. The engagement ceremony reached the end. I took a look at Shunjun and Zhou Liwei under the stage with a microphone and said with a smile, "Welcome to my engagement party today. You can come in." As soon as the words fell, there was a commotion at the door. A team of armed police rushed into the banquet hall, along with a group of reporters with cameras. Shunwon was stunned and stretched out her hand to grab my arm, but I threw it away coldly. "Husband." I took a step back, raised my hands, looked at her, tilted her head and smiled. "Don't, I'm not your husband. Zhou Li is your husband, right?" Shunwon's face turned pale in an instant. She didn't say a word for a long time with her lips trembling. I turned my head to look at Shunjun and Zhou Li, who also looked ugly, and continued. "What's more, you are still a murderer. Are you right, Shunwon?" I bit the word murderer very hard and was satisfied to see Shunwon fall to the ground and be taken away by the police. Similarly, Zhou Li and Shunjun were also escorted by the police. How about it? Is it exciting? 9. Zhou Li was sentenced to prison for spreading obscene pornographic and dirty audio. He was the creator behind the live broadcast website that Shunwon sent me at the beginning. And over the years, the videos of him setting with various girls are the source of the videos on this website. He even developed the membership system and obtained a lot of unrighteous wealth, which was seized by the police one after another. Shunjun and Shunwon were sentenced to life imprisonment for murder. This matter was once on the hot search of the news, and was widely spread by many marketing accounts. Shun's father and mother were killed by Shunjun and Shunwon. In that year, due to the insufficient chain of evidence and the imperfect facilities, the case was settled in an accident. And now, I have investigated the accident that year and handed over sufficient evidence to the police. In just 3 days, the two were sentenced from the suspect. Before entering the prison, Shunwon asked to see me, and I agreed. Even though she was neatly dressed in prison, she faintly smelled. I know, it's her venereal disease that has become worse. However, how can the prison provide good medical conditions for a murderer like her who killed her father and mother in life imprisonment? When she saw me, Shunwon kept staring at me but didn't say anything. She didn't speak and neither did I. The room was quiet. After a long time, she smiled hoarsely. "When did you know?" "I knew it a long time ago." I answered truthfully. "Do you hate me? Do you want me to die?" "Goosey, do you think you are a good person? If you had promised me to change my husband early, would there still be such a thing as now? It's all your fault." Looking at her screaming crazily, I felt bored without any waves in my heart. I even doubted that I was blind at the beginning. How could I like someone with a bad nature like her? "Shunwon, I didn't expect that you didn't feel that you were wrong at this time, and even blamed all the mistakes on me. You are really disgusting." That's it. I have nothing more to say. After saying that, I was about to get up, but Shunwon suddenly looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "Don't go. Just say a few more words with me." I'm sorry, I know it's not your fault. After graduating from college, my sister brought Zhou Li to me, and the three of us started this relationship. Later, my parents found out about us, saying that we were shameless and scolded us for being unfilial, but they didn't take care of us since we were young, so who is qualified to talk about our affairs? Later, my sister and I joined hands to kill them. At that time, I really felt relaxed and no one cared about us anymore. Listening to her words and looking at her intoxicated appearance, I suddenly felt a chill in my heart. I still remember Shunwon crying in my arms after her parents passed away. It turned out that it was not sad that his parents passed away, but that he was happy that his openness was finally not controlled. As if to see the disgust in my eyes, Shunwon smiled sarcastically. "You don't have to look down on me. You just haven't tasted the taste of being drunk and dying by 3 people. Otherwise you will also be addicted. Obviously I want to make you comfortable, but you repeatedly talked to me about loyalty and disloyalty, and said that you cheated or not. Is it interesting? Well, I admit that I'm wrong, but if you take 10,000 steps back, aren't you wrong? 10. Looking at Shunwon in front of me, I knew that she was hopeless, Or she didn't think she had a problem at all. It may be that my parents have lacked sex education since I was a child, or I was influenced by the abnormal concepts on the internet. Sure enough, Shunwan continued. You don't know that people on the internet play like this, and there are even such small teams specializing in changing husbands in 3P. You are really pedantic. In the face of Shunwan's accusations, I was silent. Thinking that this would be the last time between us, before the end of time, I still said lightly, Shunwan, if you are a normal person, I will definitely be willing to say a few more words to you. But unfortunately, you are not normal, and I don't want to waste my words. I'm very happy with you. I don't regret falling in love with you, but I'm also disgusted with falling in love with you. I wish you a happy life in prison. It seemed that she had never heard such unpleasant words from my mouth. Shunwan's eyes turned red in an instant and kept slapping on the window and shouting, Why? On what basis? Her movements were so big that it brought a gust of wind. I smelled a strong fishy smell and could no longer bear to turn around and leave. Before leaving, I looked back and saw that the accompanying staff was dragging her back to prison with their noses covered with a disgusted face. Shunwan looked at the direction I left with tears in her eyes and kept shouting, and her hands scratched down from time to time. After walking out of the prison, I took a breath of fresh air. I have never thought that the world is so beautiful. I lit a cigarette and walked slowly to the roadside. After getting on the car, I extinguished the cigarette and started the car. Busy with work passes quickly. It has been 5 months since the last time I went to prison to see Shunwan. The assistant knocked on my door and put a newspaper on my desk. I finished the work at hand and opened the newspaper. There is a small entertainment section directly below the big news. There are 2 mosaic photos of women in prison uniforms. Looking at the words, I know that this is Shunjan and Shunwan. 2 people died in prison due to more and more severe ulcers due to sexually transmitted diseases. Even after his death, he was complained by many prisoners because the body smelled too bad. There is a line of small words at the bottom. Cherish life and stay away from improper sex. There was no ripple in my heart. After watching the news, I closed it and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window with coffee to look down the traffic downstairs. In fact, I still don't understand what Shunwan and others are thinking. But it doesn't matter anymore. I said that in the world of crows, swans are also wrong. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to talk about logic and reason to them. And I just need to do my own thing well.